Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
Sometimes it's not the loudest stories that keep us up at night. It's the quiet ones. The ones that never quite made the headlines. The ones that left behind more questions than answers. The Final Trace is a true crime podcast about the strange, the unresolved, and the stories that slip through the cracks. From disappearances to mysterious deaths, to cases that were technically solved, but still don't sit right. We dig into the overlooked, the eerie, and the human side of every story. Because even when a case goes cold, there's always something left behind. A clue, a feeling, a final trace. Follow The Final Trace wherever you listen to podcasts, and come find what still lingers in the silence. I'm your host, Hopper Daly, and this is The Final Trace.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather, and we have a special guest in our studio today. Dylan was unavailable, so the ghost of Ed Gein, it will be co-hosting today. How you doing, Ed?
Hey, Heather.
How's it going?
I'm just babysitting kids.
Okay, all right.
Working on a sewing project.
You like arts and crafts?
Yeah, you know, I like to go...
No bones about it. You like arts and crafts.
No bones about it. I like to, just...
You just can't do it, huh?
Just
can't stick with it.
I'm sorry. So obviously we've been watching the Netflix series Monster.
Ed Gein.
The Ed Gein story. And what are your thoughts, Heather? I think it's pretty good.
Well, I'm kind of on the fence about Ryan Murphy shows. Sometimes they're hit or miss for me.
Right.
Like there are some seasons of American Horror Story that were well done, and then others that just really did not hit the mark for me, or they kind of suck. And it's the same thing with this Monster series, because I really felt like the Menendez brothers series was pretty fucking bad. I did not like it. I didn't think it was well done. I thought it was ridiculous and took too many like creative liberties, if you will. But so far with the Ed Gein, it started off maybe a little boring, and maybe it has some lulls here and there, but overall, I'm enjoying it. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and I think what's selling it is Charlie Hunnam's.
That man could sell me anything.
Charlie Hunnam's performance. I think that's the most impressive part of the series so far for me.
I think his body is the most impressive part of the series for me. That man is jacked.
No, he is jacked.
I don't even know how you get that ripped up.
And of course, in a Ryan Murphy series, you're going to get to see every inch of him.
Oh yeah.
But
not complaining.
I'm amazed though for his departure from the kind of bad boy, handsome, whatever, hottie guy, which he's done basically in some way in every role he's ever done.
Apparently, you've never seen Nicholas Nickleby.
Be it
Charles Dickens classic.
Be it a sci-fi or anything like that, he always still kind of has that, same thing. But this, I feel like, is a real departure for him. He's really immersed himself in the character.
Right. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to pull it off, because I'm like, wait a minute. He's a pretty handsome guy. And Ed Gein is not. I mean, back in the day, if they had been on that website, Hot or Not, like in the late 90s, Ed Gein is definitely not.
What do you mean, Heather?
You're not hot, Ed. Sorry. You're not my type, okay? You're a little too bony for me, if you know what I'm saying.
Nice.
No. But so far, yeah, I think he's really kind of embracing the character and bringing a certain kind of charm, but almost like creepiness to the character. Yeah,
Yeah, no, definitely like a subtle creepiness. Like,
A
it,
little like he just makes you feel a little unsettled,
right.
right?
And it's much more realistic than if it was, you know, he was being weird and like overtly
No, I
weird.
think it's the voice
Yeah.
that does it for me.
Well, okay. Have you met my mom? She's
It's
she's a ray of sunshine.
it's too much. It's too much. You have to stop.
Oh, and Jackie from, what's her name? Jackie from Roseanne?
Yeah.
Is what I always called her. She just played, God, his mom was, or at least in this portrayal,
No, she was an old battle axe.
a freaking asshole, dude.
Yeah, no. Supposedly, she was just as bad, if not worse, in real life.
So, like, people around town knew that she was just this old crotchety, very narrow viewed person. You know, if you don't align with her.
She's an old hateful bitch. Is what you're trying to say, Dylan.
Hey, you found the words I was grasping for.
Yeah, I mean, she was not a pleasant person, and I think Ed definitely had some mommy issues.
Yeah.
Dylan, we have an interesting case to discuss today.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of blown away. You know, you told me a little bit about this, and this is totally unknown to me.
As I mentioned before, we're going to be discussing a serial killer. Others may consider this person to be more of like a spree killer or a thrill killer. But I think maybe he's a serial killer. I think he just maybe likes to kill people.
You know, over the years, it's like people really want to make a comparison or point out the differences between a serial killer, a spree killer, and I'm just like, dude, I mean, you're killing multiple people in a very short period of time.
You're killing me, Smalls.
And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I almost think it's a serial killer who happens to be, you know, doing this other activity, right?
Quit nitpicking it, dude.
Oh,
That's
and
what I want to say to those people.
before we dig into it, I would like to say we had a blast at the HorrorCon.
Oh, yeah, man. We had a great time at Carolina's Horror Fest in Asheville over the weekend. We got to meet some great folks, and we got to meet a longtime listener,
Yes,
Ashley. So
yes.
big shout out to Ashley. Thanks so much for traveling. She traveled a few hours up to Asheville to meet us.
Yes, Ashley and Ross, it was very nice meeting you.
Yeah, they were super cool.
And we saw super cool. Maybe we'll grab a beer sometime. And we also saw some great costumes, okay?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Saw some great costumes.
There was a Santa, Art, the clown, the Terrifier.
Yes.
He was amazing. We had Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers. What a cute couple.
Leatherface.
Leatherface, and he even had a little chainsaw he was carrying around.
We had some iconic costumes. And I got to say, it's so fun watching people who love something, whatever it is, whatever the con might be you're at. Just people who really, as you can tell, they really love, you know, this is their hobby or their passion.
I'm going to host Cereal Con
Oh.
because I really love cereal. And so I'm going to host a Cereal Con.
And you'll have like
I'm really passionate about it.
your special guest could be like the guy who
Captain
voices
Crunch.
Tony the Tiger.
Yeah,
And he'd
sure.
be like, they're great.
We'll get Captain Crunch there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about
The frog from Honey Smacks.
Count Chocula?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to break down and admit, Dylan, I did buy a box of Count Chocula for the simple nostalgia
Well, it's
because
good.
it's like a taste of my childhood.
Let's be honest.
I was never a big fan of the Boo Berry.
You know, I could not describe what booberry
Or was
tastes
it- or
like.
what's the other one? It's like the pink character. Is it Frankenberry? Or
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
But-
the Count Chocula is where it's at for me.
Yeah, but you know it doesn't taste as good as when you were a kid.
Well, probably not. I haven't even opened it yet. I'm sort of just like saving it, admiring the box, pretending it's the 80s, simpler times when things made sense.
Okay, so all right, so let's dig into this case. I think it's a great story that
Shout
Heather's-
out to Luke, our newest patron.
Hey, Luke, thank you so much for your support over there on Patreon. We really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoy the ad-free and extra content.
Absolutely. And speaking of ad-free extra content, Dylan, we will be dropping a second episode in our West Memphis 3 series. We are doing the deepest dive over on Patreon.
And we're never coming up for air.
All the things you think you know about the West Memphis 3, we're going to teach you some more things that you didn't know.
No, in all honesty, the first episode was a blast. We hope some of our patrons have already had a chance to check that out.
Oh, I've had patrons demanding, when is the second episode coming out?
Because there truly is a lot of information in there. You thought you might know the case inside and out, but Heather is, in true Heather fashion, going to dive very deep. And I can't wait for the next installment. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, so we'll be dropping that in a couple of days, Dylan. All right, are you ready? Let's do it. Are you strapped in?
Yeah, I think I got all my wiggles out.
Got your helmet on?
Yeah.
You definitely need to be wearing a helmet. All right, Paul. I'm off to a great start here. Paul John Knowles was born April 17th, 1946 in Orlando, Florida, but grew up in Jacksonville. He was the youngest of 5 children born to Thomas and Bonnie Knowles. His father was a hardworking blue-collar carpenter. Described as an intelligent but destructive child, Paul was incorrigible. Being the youngest, you could say he was babied, which only fueled his mischief. By the time he reached school age, Paul was known for back-talking adults and running wild, Dylan.
Oh, gosh.
Running wild. He avoided schoolwork. Other boys seemed to gravitate to him, kind of making Paul the leader of this troublesome group. So, like, all the bad kids in the neighborhood wanted to be Paul's friend.
So he's like captain of the misfits.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yet some reports describe Thomas, his father, as being physically abusive to his children, especially his young son, Paul. The reports of abuse were so severe that Paul often ran away from home, preferring to sleep in the woods rather than be at home. And that reminds me a lot of Eileen Wuornos's background.
Right.
Yeah. In 1953, Paul was 7 years old. It is at this time that he began stealing bicycles.
Well, you know, as bad as that would be any time during your life, if you lived around someone that was physically, mentally, sexually, any of the abusives, to such a degree, you would rather sleep in the woods than, you know, go home where you should feel safe. I think when it happens to a child, it's just, you know, it's so much worse, because that really is the time in your life when you should be, you should feel comfortable,
You need security,
nurtured, and secure. You feel secure because, you know, the world's out there just waiting for you. But as children, you're supposed to remember back before you were thrust out into the cruel world, you know?
Now, I'm trying to remember being 7 years old, and I was hardly a criminal. So we've got Paul. I mean, he's already off to some shenanigans at a very early age, stealing bicycles. And that's I would say that's a big deal.
Well, yeah.
You know, back then especially, bicycles were very important to kids. It was their mode of transportation. Probably expensive for most families.
Well, look, it's no different than an adult coming out and their car's gone.
Well, yeah.
I mean, really, to a kid, and from their perspective, you know, that's their whole thing. You're proud of your bike, you love it. Maybe you wanted a certain one for, you know, a while, and then you finally got it for a birthday or a Christmas.
For me, it was the He-Man bicycle. It was blue. It was He-Man, and we bought it at Lowe's. Lowe's used to sell bicycles back in the day.
For me, it was a white Huffy with white tires.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You know, that sounded like a really good.
So fresh and so clean.
And you know what? I lived in the country, so.
A 7-year-old came along and stole your bike?
No, instantly the tires were like red clay mud colored for the rest of its existence. But you couldn't tell me.
Your bike had character, bro.
You couldn't tell me anything on the showroom floor at Walmart or wherever we purchased it.
It's probably like a Roses or something.
It was pimp as hell.
Thomas and Bonnie tried to get a handle on their son without luck. If they tried to confront or contain Paul, he would explode into violent rages, like even as a little kid.
No, you know, little kids get upset and cry or, you know, raise a little hell. But when true rage or anger coming from a child, I would find that unsettling, to say the least.
Finally, Thomas seemed to just give up on disciplining like his son at all and just allowed state authorities to take over. Paul told a prison psychiatrist, quote, "I'm a criminal and I've been a criminal since I was a little kid. Nothing good ever happened in my life." So he does not believe he had a good childhood. Now, by the age of 17, Paul was sent to a Florida like school for boys, one of those training schools that we've heard so much about.
So is this like a reform school or kind of?
Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, no, what do you think it is, Dylan? What are they training them to do?
Well, the claim is they're just learning how to be better criminals from the other
Well, that's
criminals.
exactly what it is. I mean, have you ever heard of a like boys' school being a good place?
No.
Sometimes I just think you're a little goofy.
Well, I've never heard of people saying they had positive experiences at these places.
Exactly.
And it's almost like they had, no oversight or no direction or outline as to how the, boys or girls should be treated.
Well, like I was saying, Paul was sent to the Florida School for Boys 6 times by the age of 17 for crimes ranging from breaking and entering to grand larceny. Every time he was released, Paul would return to Jacksonville to continue his crime spree, if you will. He had no desire to stop, and it did not seem like any amount of punishment, no matter what you threw at this kid, you threatened to put him back in the boys' school. He just did not give a fuck, Dylan.
So what do you even do with someone that's like that?
I don't know, man.
I mean, because the threat of punishment is supposed to be the deterrent, right?
Well, that's what they say.
And if you have someone who don't give any fucks and they don't care and they're just stone-faced when they're, in front of judges or...
Incompatible with society, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, that really seems to be the case.
You send them off to like a small island where they can fend for themselves.
Well, I think we should...
surrounded by sharks. It's called Alcatraz.
But
they shut it down.
Buy a little sweet little island and just send all the people who don't seem to want to play well with the others. And we could just send them all there to live.
It could be like Escape from New York, where you put all the criminals on this island and just like let them be. But you have security surrounding the island so they can't escape.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And just let them do what they do.
Yeah, and then you could live stream that.
And then like the rest of us are just like safe from those people.
And you could live stream that and people could watch like Prison Cam or whatever you want to call Island Cam.
Oh gosh.
And it could be like a reality show, you know?
Man, see, yeah, that's probably that's the future. That's the future we are headed for. Dylan.
There'd be like budding relationships and stuff.
There's all these little
sometimes non-consensual
little gangs and stuff. Paul had been obsessed with criminal celebrities from an early age, like Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson. He would read books about these American outlaws, get copies of those true detective, true crime magazines, those little pulp magazines that were so popular back in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
But, you'd have those are all very dangerous, terrible people you're mentioning, but it was romanticized. Their exploits were romanticized, and they were almost like folk heroes to it.
Absolutely. Paul also had a reputation for violence against women. A woman named Kathy Hardy would later come out and do some interviews. Her brother had ran with Paul's little gang, and she said he was terrifying. If Paul liked a girl and she rejected him, Kathy said, quote, "Watch out." He had a serious temper and would punch a girl or woman in the face without even thinking about it.
Damn.
There were many times Paul was beaten up by the brother or boyfriend of one of these girls, but that didn't slow him down. He didn't care if they kicked his ass.
I don't care how many times you hit me in the face, you son of a bitch. I'm still going to punch your sister.
Maybe he likes it. I don't know.
He's like, I'm going to punch you, and then gets his ass whooped by like every dude, which totally makes sense because any guy who wants to hit on women like that, it's usually a freaking dork or coward.
Kathy knew how to play him. She kind of learned, I guess, early on, having been around him, that there were ways to manipulate Paul. Paul loved flattery, for example. To get along with him, Kathy would brag on what a bad boy he was. When Paul would say one day he was going to be a famous criminal, Kathy would placate by saying, "You better give me your autograph now before you get famous."
Oh.
Paul ate this up with a spoon. I mean, he like relished in these compliments. So the more she kind of like greased his ego, you know, then he was cool. He was nice to her. He liked her. He treated her well.
So it's funny. She's found you have a person who doesn't care, does what they want, no impulse control. You know, actually a dangerous individual to be around, right? For many reasons. They can get you in trouble, you know, in legal trouble with them. I don't even like hanging around people like this. This is way too unpredictable for me. You know what I mean? I like to think I know what my friends are going to do. But she's found a way to manipulate, kind of the manipulator, if you will.
Well, like, fortunately for me, I haven't been around too many people like this in my life. Just hardened criminals.
Well, no, I would be like, what are you doing? You know, if someone just all of a sudden is like, I'm going to go rob this convenience store, I would be like, what the? No.
Yeah, it's not like I've ever, you know, tried to seek out these folks. And I'm pretty lucky that I've never been around too many of these types of people. Now, during a car theft in March of 1965, an officer pulled Paul over driving a stolen car. Paul grabbed the policeman's gun, forced him into the car, but then released him 2 hours later. Well, it didn't take long for Paul to be arrested. He was convicted of kidnapping the police officer. Paul would be sent to state prison for 5 years. And Paul had learned the boys' school was no walk in the park, but prison was far worse. The food was terrible. The hygiene standards were very low. Paul began engaging in violent sexual encounters with male inmates. It is said this led to him being unable to achieve orgasm with women, which in turn made him angry.
God, what a weird loop to be caught in, right?
Caught in a trap.
So
I like your man butt crack.
Unless I'm male.
I can't get it up for my lady.
So unless I'm male and you're basically raping me, you can't get excited?
You can't do it for me, bud.
Yeah, I wonder how that conversation with a doctor would go.
I'm like, big, you gotta creep up from behind.
Like, Doc, you got anything that can make me get sexually aroused around females without thinking about raping males?
Exactly, right? Far from rehabilitated, Paul was released from prison after serving 2.5 years of the sentence. Again, it does not take long for him to get caught attempting to break and entering, which sent him back to Rayford Prison to finish out the remainder of his sentence. He was released on May 10th of 1970 with a new suit, $25 in cash, and a parole officer.
I'm sure the suit's going to make all the difference in Paul's life.
It's going to make him feel quite important. When he had been released in 1967, Paul had met the Knight family. Soon he was visiting the couple and their 3 children regularly. You know, now that he's out of prison, he can go hang out with his new friends. He became a staple around the house. Paul enjoyed taking their children to local fairs and winning prizes for them. When he went back to prison for violating his parole, the Knights, the husband and wife, had separated. Jackie Knight began writing Paul in prison. Soon, a romance blossomed.
The kids would be like, Uncle Paul, why you always wear that jail suit?
They actually did call him Uncle Paul.
Really?
They did.
That's awesome. Like, we're at the fair. You could wear shorts, Uncle Paul. Take that suit off.
And I don't know about you, Dylan, but when I think of prison, I think of romance blossoming.
Yeah, some people, well, maybe I guess maybe there were fireworks between them or around
Well,
them.
Rihanna said that she fell in love in a hopeless place.
So that maybe there's some kind of unrequited love or sexual tension.
Well, you know, I mean, I can see the benefits of dating a man who's incarcerated. I mean, you always know where he is.
Right.
He's not up in your face 24/7.
No, it's one of those relationships where you can have an interaction, but you're not getting smothered, right?
You know what? I'm built for this. I need to find myself a guy who's like on death row.
Or you could just find it.
So I could like talk to him for like a couple hours or write him a letter and then just like go back to my life and have my, my bed to myself. I don't really have to engage with him that often.
Or you can get with a blue collar worker because y'all probably won't sleep in the same
No,
bed.
but sometimes you are home and then you get on my nerves. So I don't know. Paul promised Jackie that when he was released from prison, he would marry her and, quote, go straight. I don't know if that meant he was going to stop getting in trouble or he was going to quit raping other men. What? Too much?
No, that's a really great take. I mean, that's a valid point. I would say we need to see exactly what you mean by that. Or could you do both? I mean, it'd be crazy. He's got like this closet full of suits where
He's
he's been released out of jail so many times. At what point do they just realize this person doesn't want to?
He doesn't want a suit, damn it.
Maybe he wants a pair of culottes and a damn t-shirt,
I don't think men wear culottes, honey. I think that's like a lady thing.
He'd be like, I went to prison and all I got's this stupid t-shirt.
Yeah. He might be happier with that.
Okay.
Jackie and Paul married upon his release from Rayford. Their relationship had been better at a distance. Jackie was learning the hard way. Now she got put up with him.
Now, I've seen this phenomenon many a time on Love After Lockup.
Oh, yeah?
These people have these relationships, and and also what happens, I think, is when you have a long-distance relationship.
She gets out of jail. She steals his car. She gets arrested for smoking crack.
Yeah, and like sells the rental car or whatever.
Yeah.
But also when you're having this relationship through, say, the mail or, emails or texting, it's very wordy. It's really, flowery. And, you're just...
Well, you can put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, you can play a character. You can live up to this person's romantic, Prince Charming expectations. And then in real life, they find out you're just like a clod.
Well, and you also don't have, you can do all that, oh, I love you and all this stuff, but you also don't have to do the hard, the other parts of relationships. You don't have any
Like
responsibility.
Take out the trash.
Go get a job or, straighten your shit up. So I could imagine that oftentimes these relationships do go sideways once the people, get together in the same room.
Go out for milk, that kind of thing. Paul couldn't find a job. No one wanted to hire an ex-con. He soon gave up looking for work. Paul returned to his criminal friends. He was drinking and, just sitting around doing a whole lot of nothing. Finally, Jackie had had enough. She took her 3 children and moved to Macon, Georgia. She had the marriage annulled. Despite this, Jackie and Paul did keep in touch and had some sort of amicable type of relationship.
Okay.
Even after the annulment. Paul just could not stay out of trouble, Dylan. And I don't know what it is, but there are these people that no matter what you could offer them the world on a silver platter, they're going to always make the wrong choice and always end up right back in trouble.
Yep.
In September of 1971, he was caught breaking and entering again. Though the maximum penalty was 15 years, a judge sentenced him to serve only 3 years for the felony.
See, I mean... Gosh, here we are yet again. You have this career criminal since they were very young, in and out, never learned their lesson, and they never get like serious time. At what point are they just like, okay, you don't want to be part of society? You're going to jail for 30 years.
While in prison, Paul was given certain privileges after a year. And that's the thing, like you throw him in prison, but then you're going to like kind of give him I guess like the minimum security type of setting where he can have privileges and he can, drive a vehicle around the, things like that. One day, Paul just up and leaves jail. He's just like, yeah, I'm peacing out because the security was lax and he had these special privileges and just like walked out the front door. Police caught up to him. He ended up fighting with the officers, but was returned to Rayford Prison anyway. Still, nothing would stop Paul Knowles. He was truly beyond reform. During his 9 years on and off in the Florida prison system, Knowles was described as a loner, Other inmates considered him to be a rat, although there is no evidence to support that he was like a criminal informant of any kind.
So he just had rat energy.
He had rat energy. When given an IQ test in prison, he scored a 125, which was well above the other inmates. Paul didn't make friends. So again, he's this loner, but he did have interests, hobbies, much like Ed Gein. You know, he liked arts and crafts. No, he didn't really.
I like to make stuff.
No. For some reason, Paul was into astrology. He read horoscopes every day. He relied on the details to dictate like how the day would go. If the horoscope was positive, Paul would become giddy, almost manic. Like first thing in the morning, he reads his horoscope, and if it's, you know, good news, then he's like in a great mood, over the top, energetic.
So, you know, I think this right here, what you're describing, and so I assume if it's a gloomy outlook for the day, that's how that's what his mood's gonna be.
Well, if the horoscope didn't live up to his expectation, Paul would become sullen, sour, gloomy, as you said. Yes.
That's how that works. And people are like, wow, my horoscopes are so dead on, but they're actually, you know, affecting their days through this very method right here.
Paul also developed an interest in tarot cards and became a skilled tarot card reader. I don't know if he was giving readings to the other inmates, but he would give himself tarot card readings, right? Paul found a personal ad for a woman in American Astrology magazine in early 1973. Apparently, people would put these personal ads seeking pen pals and that type of thing in the back of this astrology magazine, Dylan.
Okay.
Which I think a lot of magazines offered that, like pen pal or personal ad type of thing back in the day.
I think you can find all kinds of stuff in the back of magazines, like x-ray glasses.
Like gun magazines.
Stuff like that.
Looking for a lady who wants to talk about guns, you know, stuff like that.
I'm just looking for a lady who likes a nice strong Aries like me, because I'm all ram stuff.
Okay.
That's my advertisement for me in the back of a magazine.
You like some ram stuff?
Yeah, well, my big ram head. It's an Aries.
Okay.
I think it's a ram.
So you don't even know.
Is it? It is.
Angela Kovic was a cocktail waitress in San Francisco. Kovic's mother was a well-known local psychic. The mother apparently read some of Paul's letters and was like, hey, Angela, you know, I think maybe you found a winner here.
Okay.
This guy who's in prison, who's also into astrology.
Well, I mean, he's held it down. He's been in prison for a long time, right? I mean, he's really good at that.
Angela and Paul shared an interest in esoteric teachings. And she also found these letters to be alluring. Angela had a husband that had also been serving time in a California prison, so she was sympathetic to Paul's situation in Florida. She hired an attorney to secure his release so that he could, you know, be paroled and join her in California. Angela Kovic even visited him in September of 1973 before his release. It was during this visit that Paul proposed to Angela, and she accepted.
I love you, baby.
It's really romantic.
I ain't just saying this because you got me a lawyer and stuff and put some money on my books.
My horoscope said love was in the air.
I can smell
and
it.
You flew here. You was in the air, so see, you must be the one.
I was like, my girl's in the air right now.
It's true. Love is in the air, Dylan.
God, horoscopes be dead on, don't they? They really, it really works.
I've read a few that do seem to kind of be spot on, but I don't know.
Well, look, here's the thing. And I
don't know if I like fully believe in that stuff.
No, look, I got to say, anyone I've ever been around who was into horoscopes and astrology, they were usually a fairly positive, cool person, you know? Very seldom do you see someone who's into something like that.
And they're angry.
Just a stick in the mud. Like, that ain't true. That damn horoscope don't know me at all.
I do think there is something authentic about star signs, though. Certain people, you can kind of pick. I can pick their star sign based on their personality traits.
Really?
And they do have, there are certain people under certain signs that have certain traits.
Well, no, that when you read that's the part of it that I've ever seen when the basic description of who, whatever, it usually is pretty true, But it's what I think is kind of funny is like the daily horoscope stuff.
Right.
Because oftentimes it's very, very vague. It's just like, well, yeah, I breathe there too.
Have you ever had a birth chart? Like, have you ever had a birth chart created for you?
No.
Well, I have, and I've got to say, it was kind of eerie.
Really?
Yeah, you type in, like your birthday, the time you were born, where you were born. So it comes up with like the coordinates for the city, the state where you were born, the town where you were born. And it does give at least mine was pretty eerie because I was like, what the hell? This sounds a lot like me. I don't like it.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
should try that.
Okay. So while awaiting release, Paul earned a GED. He had begun taking college courses. In California, Angela had promised to get him a sign painting job. He told the parole board that before he met Angela, he was aimless, but after finding the love of a good woman, Paul was willing to shed his criminal ways. He was a changed man, Dylan. He wanted to turn his life around.
And pursue his passion of painting signs.
He was released under the condition that a, California official, I guess probation officer or whatever, would monitor his parole status. Paul had too many bad friends in Jacksonville, and Florida officials kind of felt that a change of scenery would be good for Paul Knowles and saw it as a positive. So they did encourage him to, get out of Dodge.
They encouraged him to leave.
Yeah.
So they don't have to deal with him anymore.
Yes.
Because Paul is hundreds of thousands of dollars into local resources, right?
Paul left for San Francisco on May 14th of 1974. When he arrived at Angela's house, the reunion did not go as expected. Angela had changed her mind about marrying him after a psychic told her, quote, a dangerous man would be entering her life.
Oh my gosh, like last minute. She's all for it. And then the ominous warning from the psychic.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, I can't do this. And while this is happening, Paul's en route
Love is in the air.
from Florida to California.
Love is in the air, Dylan. Now she was afraid of Paul, realizing the error in judgment. For a week, Paul spent nights at her mother's house. Angela wouldn't even, house him under the same roof or sleep in the bed with him.
Well, I know that I told you I loved you and we'd be together, but I need you to go stay at my mom's.
I need you to go over there. Yes. Finally, Angela told him that she wanted to reconcile with her ex-husband. This rejection deeply impacted Paul. He returned to Florida in a state of extreme agitation. Immediately, Paul got into a bar fight and injured the bartender. He was arrested again. Paul had no plans to return to Rayford, but he violated parole and went back to prison. But guess what, Dylan?
What?
He escaped. He escaped on July 16th of 1974.
They're like, we know that you're probably a changed man now. We can tell by your rap sheet, in and out of jail, never doing the right thing. But we're just going to leave this door open right here, and we're going to trust you don't go out it.
So he escapes, and it was on this night that Paul John Knowles made a decision to begin a crime spree that would shock the nation. To live life on the run, Paul needed two things: money and transportation. He didn't have those things. Didn't have no money, didn't have no car. And he hadn't been around to steal any bicycles from any kids.
He long ago had lost his bicycle empire. All he had was a determination to see the country.
Right. So he invaded the home of a 68-year-old retired school teacher named Alice Curtis. Paul overpowered the elderly woman, tying her up. He rummaged through her house, searching for valuables. Paul didn't realize that during the struggle, Mrs. Curtis's dentures had been loosened, and she somehow swallowed them.
Oh my gosh.
When he went to check on her, she was already dead. Now, Paul had never killed anyone, but staring down at the dead woman filled him with a new sense of power. He had always been pushed around by cops, judges, his dad, other kids who was like, "Don't you steal my bicycle." And he was like, "I'm going to steal your bicycle." And they was like, "No."
Damn.
Yeah.
He's led a hard life.
But now he could seize control of other people's lives. It brought extreme satisfaction. Also, Knowles had realized there was a hierarchy in the criminal world. In prison, a thief, like he had been, was treated badly and considered a lowlife. Murderers, however, earned respect and power. They held status, which Paul had been seeking his whole life.
Damn. So, I mean, it's so strange. You have this career criminal, and now it's almost like he's graduating to the next level of
He
crime.
leveled up, Dylan.
Yeah, and he likes it. And this right here is the exact reason I think they should take these petty criminals, lifelong criminals, more seriously, because this is the kind of thing that happens, you know?
It just escalates.
Yeah, you have this guy who should not be on the street. He's proved time and again that he can't follow the rule, or he just refuses to. And now this poor elderly woman has lost her life because this asshole decides he just wants to take her stuff.
No, this guy is like the worst scum-sucking piece of shit on the planet. As we get further, into our story, you are going to be like, wow, this guy is just a fucking monster. He is. He's the worst of the worst. And I don't know how he's not more well-known.
Right.
Really. Paul realized to stay free, he needed to do whatever to survive. And if that meant killing innocent people, he was going to do it. Paul stole Mrs. Curtis's white Dodge Dart. He drove to Jacksonville, where some friends helped hide him. On August 1st of 1974, Elizabeth Anderson took her 13-year-old daughter to visit a sick relative. It was 6 p.m. The family resided in the Pumpkin Hill area of Jacksonville, Florida. Since Mrs. Anderson would not be gone for very long, she left her other two daughters, 11-year-old Lillian and 6-year-old Mylette, at home. She had informed the girls not to answer the door or leave the house. Mrs. Anderson would call to check on them, and also, their father was going to be home from work pretty soon, so she didn't feel, like it was too outrageous to leave the girls home for, an hour or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's common practice.
They live in a nice neighborhood,
I think
safe.
People do that nowadays. I mean, it's not uncommon.
Mrs. Anderson phoned at 7 p.m. The girls answered, saying everything was fine. Jack Anderson, who worked on boats, arrived home a little later than usual. It was around 7:20 p.m. He had been delayed at work, but it was only for a few minutes. By the time he arrived at the house, his daughters were gone.
Oh my God.
No sign of these little girls. The Andersons were convinced their children had been abducted from the house. The children were very mindful and followed their parents' rules. Jack Anderson knew his daughters would not leave on their own. Jack and Elizabeth Anderson were deeply concerned about their missing children. Law enforcement launched a search effort that spanned 140 square miles, kind of in northeastern Duval County. Lillian suffered from a thyroid condition, and Mylette had asthma. Both girls required medication, which added another kind of sense of urgency to the matter, to finding these girls.
Right, and just another reason why they wouldn't just disappear.
Right.
They need them to take their medicine. Yeah.
Law enforcement would later learn that Paul Knowles was not exactly a stranger to this family. His mother, Bonnie, had been friends with Elizabeth Anderson. Later, it would be revealed that Knowles was parked in the stolen Dodge Dart in this area. He was planning to ditch the car. He says that's when he noticed two little girls watching him. I don't know if they were outside or just watching from the front window. Knowles felt that the little girls would be able to identify him, maybe tell their parents what they had seen. So he lured the girls into the car, drove them to a remote location, and strangled them.
Oh my God, dude.
Then Knowles dumped their bodies in a swampy area. Although Knowles took responsibility for their disappearances, the girls' missing persons case remains open to this day. Law enforcement did search for their bodies, but were unable to locate them. And several, investigating officers did not believe his story and think that perhaps he was lying about his involvement in their missing persons case.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess they probably view him as just a turd. You know, why should we believe him? But I would say, why would he take credit for it if he didn't do it?
I'm not really sure what law enforcement was thinking, if they maybe had more information about the case that they weren't really letting on, and maybe he didn't, know these details or whatever. But they, it seems like law enforcement thought he was lying about being involved in the girls' murders.
Well, look, they certainly like to clear cases, right? I mean, it's their job. That's what they're here to do. And missing person cases, or two girls disappearing like this, is a tough kind of case to solve. So you may be right. They know some stuff, or he didn't know some important, very specific details, because they would probably want to, have a resolution to this case. So there must be something there.
Yeah, it's unclear to me what led officers to believe he may have been lying or exaggerating. After committing these crimes, Knowles knew he needed to get out of Florida. He planned to drive to Macon, Georgia to stay with his ex-wife, Jackie. Money was tight, so Knowles seized at any opportunity to grab some quick cash. At Atlantic Beach, Knowles met a 49-year-old woman named Marjorie Howie. Also, I should mention this, Dylan. Knowles had been noted for being good-looking. Some people called him a Robert Redford type. Kind of had the good-looking, rugged good looks.
Okay.
He was tall, redheaded, or strawberry blonde hair. And I've seen pictures of him, and maybe they're not the best pictures, but I can kind of see where, he might have been handsome, especially for the time.
So what you're saying is he could fake it. He could make contact with a woman and put her at ease.
Yeah. Like a Ted Bundy.
And he's not some
ghoulish,
scary.
He's not an Ed Gein.
Looking.
He doesn't look like Ed Gein.
Hey, I resent that, Heather.
So he could, woo a woman to a degree, right?
Sure.
Before he starts physically abusing her.
Right.
These types of people that are running or traveling or whatever it is they're trying to do with no money, and the willingness to just steal or kill, even for $50, it's a very scary person to come, very scary type of person to come across.
Hell yeah.
Because that would be, most of the time when you're in public and around people, you think that there's certain civil etiquette that stops, the worst of things from happening. You know what I mean? Even if you get in an argument with someone in public, you don't think they're going to try to kill you or something like that,
Well, no, I don't think any of us leave the house thinking, today we're going to be the victim of a crime.
But, you could just be getting gas, and a guy like this see you pay and sees, a couple of 50s in your wallet, and he, might follow you around the corner of the gas station and fucking kill you and take your car and wallet.
The bathroom and bash you in the head with the toilet, the back of the toilet. What is that? The cover.
Yeah.
Right? Just craziness. Marjorie was later found strangled inside her apartment in the well-to-do Selva Marina development. The killer had taken a nylon stocking belonging to the victim, using it as a ligature. Paul Knowles had taken guns that Marjorie's husband had from the war. A television set was stolen. Knowles would gift this TV to his ex-wife. And I don't know what it is, Dylan, because murder is such a... this is just such a horrible thing to do, murder this woman. But there's something about him stealing her TV or taking things from his victims' homes that just is so scummy and just grimy to me.
No, it is. It is. Anytime someone murders someone, then like rifles through their stuff, it's the worst kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think thieving and going through someone's home or something like that, I think it's a really big deal. Like I've said many times before. And I think it's such a like you said, a scummy thing to do.
Somehow during the struggle, Marjorie's wedding rings were removed and buried into the shag carpet. Her hands had been tied behind her back at the time, so there was some speculation that maybe she had tried to save her wedding rings and was somehow able to kind of like, wriggle them off her fingers and sort of stuff them down into the carpet so he didn't take them.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe he removed them, dropped them. I mean, we'll never know. Knowles removed cash and other valuables from the home before hitting the road. Marjorie's husband, Samuel, was president of a carpet cleaning company, and he came home from work on August 2nd around 6 p.m. to find his wife deceased. He found the phone line cut and all of these items missing, including the television set.
How devastating.
Can we just say that Paul Knowles is an absolute menace?
I mean, you just come home, normal day, and discover something like that. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, I couldn't carry on if not only is something that's the worst part.
I know
of it.
you couldn't carry on if someone stole your TV. You would be very distraught.
I'm talking about killing my wife.
You're talking about taking your TV.
Whatever, damn a TV. You can get one for like buy one, get one TVs nowadays. That's not a big deal.
Dylan loves his TV.
But not only have you lost a loved one, but they do so in such a violent nature, right? I mean, I don't understand how these people even live with this type of pain.
I don't know. I hope I never know.
Well, yes, I agree.
Imogene Sanders was described as a strong-willed 13-year-old. After her parents divorced in 1968, Emma was sent to live with her father in Beaumont, Texas. She ran away multiple times, and after so many times, Emma's father just stopped reporting her disappearances to authorities, which blows my mind that a parent would not report their missing child to authorities.
But I mean, no, but I mean, I guess we don't understand how they really felt about it or something. I mean, it's kind of weird. I agree.
Emma hopped a bus to Warner Robins, Georgia, where her mother Betty and stepfather lived. When Emma arrived at the bus station, she called her mother for a ride. Unfortunately, 6 months earlier, Emma's sister Charlotte had drowned. The youngest sister, Sharon, clinged to Emma after that. She was excited to hear that her big sister was coming to visit. At the time, Sharon was only 4 years old. Once Imogene settles in, Betty asks her to babysit Sharon for a short period. She was only going to be gone a couple of hours, running errands, whatever. Imogene agreed she would watch Sharon, but a group of Emma's older friends stopped by in a conversion van. Emma told her little sister to go inside the house and lock the door. Emma left with her friends. It would be the last time Sharon would see her big sister.
What the hell?
Who leaves their 4-year-old sister alone?
Who tells a 4-year-old to go in the house, lock up? What are we doing?
I don't know.
I mean, even if you're not that responsible and all that, I mean, everybody should know that that's not okay. I mean, the 4-year-old's still in you're trying to keep them alive mode, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I think of a 4-year-old, I'm like, that's a baby.
Yeah.
In April of 1976, skeletal remains of a young female were discovered in a wooded area in Peach County, Georgia. For years, she was a Jane Doe. But with DNA advancements, in January of 2011, the remains were finally identified as Imogene.
I think some people that pursue identifying remains, Janes or John Does, that's such a noble thing, right? To put a name to this, to, you know,
Give the family some closure.
give the family information
Give
and
this
closure.
victim back their name
Give
and their
them,
identity.
yeah, right. Because there's just something about being maybe in a literal box, you know, somewhere in some.
Well, there just seems to be almost like you're giving them back like a certain dignity, even
Right.
in death,
Yeah, agreed.
right?
Yeah, and I think the people that, and a lot of people are very passionate about that. You know, getting these people identified and to return to their loved ones. I think that's very noble and very important thing that they do.
Keep it at 100, Dylan. I agree with you.
Well, yes, 100.
I should also tell you that during this crime spree, Paul Knowles is making audio recordings, kind of giving these full accounts of the crimes as he's committing them.
Of course he is.
And we'll talk more about this, you know, in a bit, but he would later mail the recordings to his lawyer.
So this is what, still the 70s? So he's got like
This is 74,
so he's got a literal tape recorder
a tape recorder.
and recording himself dictating his crimes.
Yes. Paul Knowles will later confess in these recordings to kidnapping and murdering a young girl that he picked up hitchhiking. He called her Alma. Investigators at the time didn't piece together the girl might have been the missing Imogene. Knowles said after abducting the girl, he drove her to a wooded area where he sexually abused her. He then strangled the girl, leaving her body between trees. 2 weeks later, he returned to the location, and by then, animals had dragged the remains away. At the time, Knowles found a piece of the girl's jawbone. This left him feeling unsettled, and he buried the small piece of jawbone.
Oh, that's so sweet. Such an asshole.
Paul spent a few weeks with his ex-wife, Jackie, but, you know, she's going to let him know it's time to move on. He had overstayed his welcome. We all know what they say about house guests and fish. They start to smell after 3 days.
Is that what the saying is?
After a few weeks, she's definitely Paul's stinking up her house, you know?
Well, look,
He's cramping her vibe.
the way I say it, even the most perfect, awesome house guest, it gets old, right? Just someone's in your space. You have to inevitably you have to change your routine and things like that, even the small things. But especially so, I can't imagine this guy's a treat to be around, right?
Right. I mean, I even feel that way about my spouse. Like, you're invading my space.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you're like touching my things.
That's right. I'm coming inside of your space.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Well, you know what? I feel the same way sometimes. So what now?
Good.
That's right. I'll leave right now. I'm going to leave
Bye.
right now.
Okay. I'll see you later. You know that car's in my name, though, right?
It's getting quieter because I'm further away from the microphone. I'll see you, Heather.
You can threaten to leave me, but the vehicles are all registered to me.
Well, hold on a second. You're going to report the car stolen? You're going to force me to become a spree killer. Is that what you're threatening?
Let's see how far you will take it, Dylan.
Gosh.
He was running low on cash by now. It was on August 23rd of 1974 that Paul left Jackie's home. He went to Musella, which is in Crawford County, and I'm probably butchering that.
It's Musala.
Is it?
I don't know.
Musella? I don't know. When I see it, I want to say Muesli, but I know that's not right. He knocked on the door of a 24-year-old divorcee named Kathy Sue Woods Pierce. Kathy had only been divorced from her husband for 6 months. After forcing his way into her home, Knowles strangled Kathy in the bathroom with a telephone cord. The only witness to the crime was her 3-year-old son, Joel.
Damn.
Knowles left the child unharmed. At the time of discovery, which was around 3 p.m., investigators determined she had been dead around 7 hours. Her ex-husband, Larry Pierce, had an airtight alibi. He had been at work at the time of his ex-wife's death. Investigators turned their attention to Kathy's boyfriend and his father. The reason the father was a suspect is that he had lived nearby and found Kathy's body. Like he had just dropped by
Okay.
I'm assuming like maybe his son couldn't get a hold of her or something, so he just like drops by the house and that's when he finds her.
Damn.
So then they're like, well, you're a suspect, which is scary.
Well, yeah.
right? I mean, any of us could stumble upon a body, but that doesn't make us a criminal.
No, and they say they always take a look at of course, the people closest, the exes, current spouses, and also the people who discover the body. Oftentimes gets a hard look. So he's got 2 strikes against him, right?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation attempted to interview the toddler, but he was uncooperative, Dylan, because he's 3.
Uncooperative. What did they expect?
They've got this little baby under like an interrogation light,
He's like butterflies.
Playing good cop, bad cop with him.
I like to fart.
You'll get the bippy back when you answer the question, kid. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just dumb.
Just play Miss Rachel really loud and let him sit in there and stew on it for a little while.
Scoring a little bit of cash, Knowles traveled to Lima, Ohio. He thought putting some distance between himself and the murders in Georgia and Florida would be a good thing. On September 3rd of 1974, Knowles went to the bar at Scott's Inn. He encountered 32-year-old account executive. This man worked for the Ohio Power Company, and his name was William Bates. The bartender knew Bates pretty well, and he was inquiring about William's new car. That's when this stranger described as a young, tall redhead, the redheaded stranger, chimed in. Bates and the stranger chatted. It sounds like they kind of spent some hours maybe drinking together, talking.
Okay.
Just really hitting it off. Shortly before midnight, the bartender watched Bates leave with this man. Bates was described as an avid hunter who liked camping out under the stars. He had not removed a gun or sleeping bag from his car from the weekend before when he'd gone on a hunting trip. Bates' wife reported him missing. Now, initially, the police thought he'd simply left town until about a month later on October 4th, when a white Dodge Dart stolen from a Florida homicide victim was in a motel parking lot. They ended up finding William Bates' car in West Palm Beach, Florida, on November 15th. It seemed to be abandoned. Since the Dodge Dart had been linked to a murder victim and was found in Ohio, investigators theorized that Bates had somehow met foul play and that the same murderer who had stolen the Dodge Dart had taken Bates' car and returned back to Florida.
Okay.
Leaving the other murder victim's car in Ohio.
God, it's weird, right?
Some genius police work there. A hunter was out on Thanksgiving Day in a wooded area near Lima when he stumbled upon the nude body of a man in the woods. The deceased man had been bound and gagged with electrical tape. Of course, this body is determined to be that of William Bates, and it was concluded that he had died of strangulation.
Damn, that's his go-to, huh?
Tracing credit card transactions will later show that Knowles traveled through Missoula, Montana, then headed south into Utah. By September 12th, Bates' credit cards had been completely maxed out.
So they're just, he continues to use them?
Yes.
Okay.
Knowles was in Ely, Nevada. I think that's how you say it, Ely. It's like E-L-Y. Or it's L-I. Nevada.
It's Ellie.
Again, someone will probably be screaming at me, correcting me. I know, guys, I'm a dumbass. Now, okay, so he's in Nevada in the eastern central part of the state.
It's Nevada.
Whatever. Nevada, whatever. Knowles found a couple in their 60s, Emmett and Lois Johnson, who were visiting from San Pedro, California. The couple had been vacationing in their camper when they stopped at a rest area at Lake Summit. The pair were ambushed by Knowles. Holding them at gunpoint, Knowles tied them up, shot them both behind the left ear. He escaped with their cash and credit cards. A Nevada highway maintenance worker who was emptying trash barrels at this rest stop made this discovery on September 18th. I guess he sees his camper. It seems like it's been there for a minute.
Right.
He's like, why isn't this camper, why haven't these people moved on? I'm assuming he approaches the camper, starts to kind of smell something foul. And that's when, obviously, he's going to call law enforcement. The victims were believed to be dead for a week. Mrs. Johnson was found nude under a removable table inside the camper. Her husband, Emmett Johnson, was dressed. He was wearing shorts, a shirt, and tennis shoes. He seemed to just sort of be, like, not placed anywhere. He's just kind of like where he landed, they think.
Oh, okay.
Investigators located a travel journal that Lois had kept. She had documented their trip, which did help investigators trace their steps and kind of create a bit of a timeline.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd be very helpful.
Now, before being found at the rest stop, the last recorded entry was at a gas station near Alamo. She had documented the gas purchase, so they knew the couple had gotten gas and then traveled to this rest stop. But what they were not sure about, and it was unclear to me, is if he abducted the couple at the gas station and forced them to drive to the rest stop, or if they had gone to this rest area where they were planning to camp at Lake Summit and he happened to, find them at this rest stop.
Right.
Right. So I'm not sure about that. I tried to find that information, but it wasn't available to me.
Well, I guess he could just, attack them, kill them, and take what valuables he could find. I'm trying to see his motivation here. But it seems to me if he had attacked them at the rest stop, that there would be some other situation. Like if he just saw them, going to the bathroom or whatever, and then forced his way into the camp RV and attack them. Seemed like there'd be, how did he get out of there? You know what I'm saying? Like, was he already in a car?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm
seems like there'd
assuming
be
maybe it was at the rest stop. You are making more sense than me at this moment. Yes. And he was in that stolen car belonging to someone, I guess.
Right, because if he was forced them to, was with them to the rest stop, then how did he get away from the rest stop? Somebody would see a guy, or there would be another violent situation to where, you attacked someone and took their car and then left.
Right. Knowles was then driving through, well, I'm not sure, but they were in a camper, so I'm not sure if he stole their vehicle.
Yeah. I mean,
because it sounds like it was a camper trailer, not like a full-size RV.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he stole their vehicle. Again, our resources were not super clear on this.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I see. I was picturing self-contained RV.
Right. I mean, I think it was more of like a camper trailer.
Okay. So then obviously
they were pulling behind them.
He's took their vehicle.
Knowles was then driving through Seguin, Texas on September 21st of 1974. 42-year-old Charlene Hicks was broken down on the side of the road. Knowles stopped and offered the widow assistance. Some reports state that she was on her way to a chili cooking contest in San Marcos. When Mrs. Hicks did not arrive in San Marcos, her family became concerned. She had some family members who lived there. She was planning to meet up with them, go to this chili cook-off.
Right.
Which sounds delicious.
Especially in that part of the country. They take their chili very seriously.
Yeah, I know. I was listening to a pod that was describing authentic chili doesn't have beans in it.
That's what you were telling me.
It's just like peppers and meat or something. And that seems odd to me because I'm from the South and we put beans in our chili.
Yeah, but I guess, when you hear about all these chili, the chili aficionados, I didn't realize, because to me, like you said, if it doesn't have beans in it, it's not chili, right? Chili bean. Go have me a bowl pot of chili beans.
Right.
And some people go meat, some not. But I guess, what do we know, right? We don't know anything about real chili. And I would love to try it. So if anyone out there listening to this knows the
How to
real
make
deal.
Authentic. I've looked up recipes for authentic chili.
Yeah, but I'd rather get it from our listeners. Hit us up at mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com if you have a storied, a protected family recipe of chili. The real deal.
We have a limited selection of chili peppers.
Well,
Sometimes I have difficulty even locating poblano peppers.
I think that's
which seems pretty common, right?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the South's just like, here's a green pepper. That's all you're getting.
Oh, we got the Carolina Reaper, you son bitch.
I don't want that.
World renowned.
That makes my insides hurt just thinking about it. They contacted the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office to report her missing. During a search for the missing woman, a deputy located her body on September 25th. Mrs. Hicks' nude body was found in brush near the highway. She had tearing on her skin, a result of being dragged through a barbed wire fence. It seems like this barbed wire fence was kind of like separating the highway from, like, field.
Well, yeah.
So he had dragged her, from the highway through this barbed wire to hide her body.
Okay.
In the field off the highway. And it seems like this was an area where her car had broken down. Yeah. So that's how they were able to find her. It was determined that Mrs. Hicks had been raped and strangled. A $1,000 reward was offered by the Houston Post. Mrs. Hicks' murder would remain unsolved until Knowles confessed 2 months later. And if you remember, he's making audio recordings the entire time. So everything he's doing, he's recording it and telling his lawyer.
I mean, what's that even sound like, right? You just raped and murdered this
Dear
poor
diary.
woman. Well, I just going along, thought it was going to be a normal day, then had a little excitement. Raped and murdered this poor innocent woman. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. 2 days after killing Charlene Hicks, Knowles arrived in Birmingham, Alabama. There, he met 49-year-old beautician Anne Jean Dawson. It is not known if she traveled willingly with Knowles or had been abducted. But for 6 days, Knowles and Dawson traveled together. She paid for their motel rooms and food during this time.
Okay.
So it's likely to me that maybe he was holding her hostage and like forcing her to pay for things.
Well,
with her money.
That's the most likely scenario. I guess it's possible she didn't realize who this guy was.
Right.
But I mean, why would she just hook up with this random dude and pay for everything?
Right. He killed the woman and dumped her body in the Mississippi River. Dawson's body was never recovered. For the next few weeks, there were no known murders connected to Knowles. He traveled to Oklahoma, Missouri, Iowa, and Minnesota. He showed up next on October 16th in Marlborough, Connecticut. Knowles knocked on the door of a random home. 16-year-old Dawn Wine answered the door. The girl was home alone. Knowles pushed his way inside the house. Dawn was subdued, then raped. When Dawn's mother, 35-year-old Karen, came home, Knowles did the same to her. After strangling the women with pairs of their silk stockings, he stole money, a tape recorder, and some tapes from Dawn's music collection. Knowles will gift these tapes to Jackie Knight's children.
It's so creepy, right? Takes stuff from murder victims and gifts them to other people.
Yeah, here, I got you a Sonny and Cher tape.
My God, I've lost track how many people this guy's killed.
He's a maniac. 17-year-old Cheryl Wine discovered her mother and sister in an upstairs bedroom of their home, which was located on Flood Road in Marlborough. Karen was an LPN, so she was a licensed practical nurse, who had been taking classes to become an RN. She works 60 to 70 hours a week as a single mother to care for her daughters. This includes working 2 jobs and attending college full-time.
Damn.
Oddly enough, Mrs. Wine's ex-husband had been involved in an espionage plot in 1968 to sell Polaris submarine routes to the Russians.
So that's like some damn, that's some big time stuff right there, right?
Right. I think her husband, I'm not sure if he was in the Navy or worked with the Navy, but what is it called? Groton Sub Base. I guess in Connecticut, it's not too far from where they lived. But I just thought that was a very strange element to the story.
Yeah.
How many times do you know somebody who's involved in an espionage plot? Police determined that a small statue, liquor, a radio, and some cash was missing from the home. The double homicide baffled police at the time.
Well, yeah, it's so random, so unconnected to the victim. I mean, you don't have a lot to go on.
They have no known enemies.
Yeah.
Mom's hardworking. She's just trying to like make her way in the world so she can provide a good life for her kids. Dawn's a 16-year-old high school student, popular, has a lot of friends.
I'm sure the town and area where they lived were totally baffled and scared.
Absolutely. 3 days later, Knowles made a stop in Woodford, Virginia. It's a small town east of I-95. Using his charms, he persuaded 53-year-old Doris Hosey to let him in her white farmhouse. Doris, a beloved member of the community, along with her husband, had built this home 2 years earlier with retirement in mind. Described as an attractive homemaker, she had lived in this area her entire life. Doris had spent the day in Fredericksburg, Virginia. She had gotten her hair done and visited her 2 sisters who lived there. Now, once Knowles gets inside the house, he tells Hosey that all he wants is a gun. And if he can get a gun, he's going to leave her alone he's going to go on his way.
Okay, I just need a gun.
Right.
And I'll leave peacefully.
She went into the study to retrieve her husband's .22 rifle. As soon as Knowles loaded it, he shot Mrs. Hosey in the head. Before he left, Knowles cleaned the weapon and dropped it next to her body. Mrs. Hosey's brother, who lived about a half a mile away, had walked into the house only to find his sister's partially dressed body. Her dog Tinkerbell was like sitting by her side.
Oh my gosh.
How pitiful is that?
Well, damn, this dude is just like, he just wants to kill people at this point.
Right.
I mean, it seems like it's becoming less and less about desperation, or not that these are good reasons, obviously, but it just seems like now he's just is getting off on doing it.
Doris's husband was out of town at the time, having driven his parents back to West Virginia after a visit. At the time, Marcia Hosey Pence, Doris's daughter, told the media, quote, "The puzzling part of my mother's death is not so much how it happened, but why would anyone want to do something like this to her?" Doris's sister recalled that she had had cash in her purse. It was missing along with her 1-carat diamond ring. Mrs. Hosey also had an inch-long cut across her left temple. It was not known if she was hit like before or after being shot. Also, though she was partially undressed, she had not been raped. In Key West, Knowles picked up a pair of hitchhikers. He planned to murder them, but was stopped for a traffic violation. The officer let him go with a warning, but Knowles panicked knowing that this officer had his identity and decided not to kill the couple.
Wow. How close they came.
Right. I'm also like, if you pull him over and you've got his ID, like, I know back then they didn't really have, I guess, the global connection we have today.
Right.
But he's wanted. He escaped from prison. So how do they not know when they run his ID that he's wanted?
Well, I mean, I guess it was still in the day of if you're out of, especially in another state, there's just not
well,
that.
no, he's back in Florida
Oh,
at
he's
this
back
time.
in Florida.
And that's
Oh,
where
yeah, he is back in Florida.
That's where he escaped from prison.
Well, damn, it seemed, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
After dropping this hitchhiking couple off in Miami, he went to see his lawyer, Sheldon Yavitz. Knowles presented the attorney with 2 things, a set of audio tapes and a shocking confession. He said, quote, "I have something to tell you. Brace yourself. I'm a mass murderer."
My God.
Sheldon Yavitz was a busy criminal defense attorney who liked working with the worst of the worst. He was pulling in over $100,000 a year, which by today's standards is between like $650,000 to $700,000 a year.
My God, is the buying power of the dollar that far? That's crazy.
Yavitz automatically assumed that his clients were guilty. Therefore, he was never surprised by their crimes. Angela Kovic had hired Yavitz to fight for Paul Knowles' parole from prison. Now, in court, Yavitz was known for getting clients off by getting continuances and, and then bringing up technicalities.
Okay.
It was rare that he won, like that he had a good criminal defense and won. It was usually like he would just get the case continued multiple times until it just got thrown out of court,
Oh, wow.
or he would find some technicality to
So-
get his clients off.
So he wasn't some kind of star criminal defense lawyer who's going to woo the jury with his really slick
No.
closing argument.
No, I don't think that he was like the dream team. He was not. Was OJ's lawyer
Oh, was it Shapiro and
F. Lee Bailey?
F. Lee
He was
Bailey
pretty famous. Yeah, he was.
and
not like
Johnny? Can't forget Johnny Cochran.
Oh yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Also, Robert Kardashian, wasn't he kind of like a slick criminal defense attorney?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, he operated out of a small office located beside his home in Coral Gables, Florida. When Yavitz listened to his client's audio tapes, even he was startled by Knowles' confessions. Knowles explained in the audio recordings that the murders had been, quote, successes. He also noted that he wanted Yavitz to spread word about the crimes to the media, once he got caught. Like, he knew he was going to get caught. It was just a matter of time.
So he just drops this stuff off to the lawyer and just keeps moving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Knowles explained that he wanted to become as famous as Bonnie and Clyde. Yavitz encouraged his client, who was on the run, to turn himself in. Knowles refused, stating that if he was going to go down, it would be in a blaze of glory, like John Dillinger.
Or John
Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Several of the murders were in death penalty states. Knowles realized his days were numbered, but expressed to his attorney that he wanted to live his last days of freedom as wildly as possible. Yavitz agreed to hang on to these audio tapes.
But I really think you should stop killing people.
I mean, I'm not sure what kind of advice he gave his client. You should turn yourself in, bud. Knowles headed back to Jackie's house in Macon, Georgia. It is suspected that he picked up hitchhikers Debbie Griffin and Edward Hilliard, who were traveling out of Gainesville, Florida. The couple were going to visit friends in Love Valley, North Carolina. On November 2nd, 23-year-old Hilliard's body was discovered near Knoxville Road after law enforcement received an anonymous tip. He had been shot 5 times. It was determined that he had been deceased for about 10 days. Now, the couple had departed Gainesville on October 27th and were last seen at a motel in Commerce, Georgia on November 2nd. Debbie Griffin had moved to Gainesville in the spring of 1974. Debbie's mother described Eddie Hilliard as, quote, a very strange young man. Debbie was known to hitchhike often, usually carrying a guitar with her. Debbie had not spoken to her family in a month, which was, I guess, not unusual for them, so it took a minute for them to realize she was missing.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you didn't talk to people every day, and especially if they were moving around, right?
Debbie had a 4-year-old son at the time of her disappearance. Now, after locating Eddie Hilliard's body, law enforcement needed to find Debbie. I mean, they knew they were traveling together. They were a couple. Debbie had been in trouble with the law before. 2 years earlier, she had received probation from the Michigan court system. It was on drug-related charges. That's how she had met Eddie Hilliard. He was also on probation, but Debbie's mother didn't know why. According to Mrs. Balkina, Eddie stayed in trouble. That's Debbie's mother, by the way. Eddie stayed in trouble and moved around frequently, which she assumed was to avoid arrest for his many shenanigans that he was getting into.
He's a bad boy.
Hilliard graduated from a high school in Alabama, but had lived all over. At the time his body was found, he had a California driver's license in his pocket. And this was in Crawford County, Georgia. About a week later, a bloodstained shirt belonging to Debbie was found near the Crawford County line, near a church. It was called the Open Bible Tabernacle Church. A pocketbook and a ditty bag were also near her body.
A ditty bag?
Yeah. Now, I don't know what they mean by a ditty bag, but we had ditty bags when I was in the military.
It was full of baby oil.
And it was like what you put your dirty shit in.
Oh.
It was like a little bag that zipped up. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not sure if this was like her clothes were in this bag. I don't know, Dylan. A prospective property buyer made the grisly discovery in August of 1975. About 5 miles from where Eddie Hilliard's body had been found a year earlier, this property buyer is just kind of like walking around, checking things out, and that's when he discovers these human remains. The skeletal remains of the young woman had 2 bullet holes in the skull, and they were later determined to be Debbie Griffin. However, the murders of Eddie and Debbie are still considered unsolved. Knowles is a prime suspect in both murders. But it's one of those things, again, where, you know, he makes a confession to police or law enforcement and they just kind of blow him off. Like he's trying to exaggerate his crimes. And I'm like, does he really need to exaggerate? I mean, he's already left a wake of carnage.
Well, he has, but
behind.
He also, I'm sure at this point realized that he is in pursuit of this, infamy, or, and so maybe in their minds, it's not that big of it's not that weird of a concept for him to try to maybe, even though he's done plenty of shit, take credit for everything he could think of or everything he's seen.
Early on the morning of November 7th, 1974, the Milledgeville Police Department was informed of an incident at a home in one of the town's suburbs. Inside, they found the home ransacked. 45-year-old Carswell Carr was lying in bed naked, his hands bound behind his back. He was covered in dried blood. He had 27 shallow stab wounds, but the medical examiner will later say that they were not significant enough to cause death. The medical examiner theorized the stab wounds were more for torture purposes. Carr actually died of a heart attack.
Oh, gosh.
The second victim was 15-year-old Amanda Carr. Mandy had been strangled with a nylon stocking in her bedroom. Another had been forced down her throat with such force that a doctor had to, surgically extract it.
Damn.
It appeared that Knowles had attempted to rape her, but had failed to do so. But they didn't find any semen present, and so I'm not really sure, how they concluded that he tried to rape her, but I probably don't want to know. Now, due to rigor mortis, it was determined that they had been murdered the night before, so it had been some hours. With the extensive damage done to the home, police initially concluded 2 assailants were responsible for the double homicides. Because this house was, trashed.
Damn.
I mean, to the point, again, they were like, there's no way one person could have trashed this house so badly.
My gosh.
Like a Tasmanian devil had, whizzed through. The scissors used to stab Mr. Carr were in the home, but contained no fingerprints. They had been cleaned. Mrs. Carr was able to recall the items missing from the home. Most of her husband's, quote, stylish wardrobe had been taken, along with his leather briefcase, shaving kit, credit cards, and house keys. Knowles had also taken a digital clock radio and a plastic watch from Mandy's bedroom. Police later learned that Mr. Carr had been a patron at Pegasus, a gay bar, the night before. The bartender witnessed Mr. Carr with a tall young man described as attractive with reddish hair. However, the bartender did not know if they had left together. So, it seems like maybe Mr. Carr and this fella met at this bar and went home to his house, or maybe Knowles followed him home.
Right.
Right. A sales clerk at Zaire department store in Macon came forward to say that after the murders, a tall man with red hair and what was described as a Zapata mustache had used Carswell Carr's credit card to purchase a tape recorder and 4 blank tapes. When she saw the news report mentioning the murder, she recognized the name on the credit card as being the murder victim and contacted law enforcement.
So something must have stood out about this guy. If she's just going to, she probably sees hundreds of names a day, right?
Right.
And this is back then when they put it on the little thing and they, it makes almost a paper copy. And I thought they used to ask for ID. It wasn't so easy or common for everyone to have a card, a debit card, and things like that. So I'm surprised you can just take people's credit card, and just go around using it, and no one says anything.
It's a different time, Dylan. Knowles had stolen Carr's white Chevy Impala. He drove to Atlanta, Georgia, and checked into a Holiday Inn using Carr's credit card. British journalist Sandy Fawkes was sitting at an Atlanta bar when she saw a handsome, rugged, red-headed stranger. She thought he was a cross between Ryan O'Neal and Robert Redford. He offered to buy Fawkes a drink. Using the name Daryl Golden, Knowles told her he was a businessman from New Mexico who was in town for a court case involving his father's restaurant chain.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty good lie, right?
Yeah.
He's pretty good on the fly. Initially, Fawkes dismissed his advances. By night's end, they were in bed together at Sandy's hotel. Sandy Fawkes said they kissed and made out, but Knowles was unable to maintain an erection. He apologized profusely, but Fawkes assured him by saying, quote, "You've just had too much to drink."
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, that's what we say.
Well, I'll be like, yeah, I know that. I know it's happening because it's happening right now, bitch. Damn.
Drunk?
Hey, the liquors can get you. The liquors can get you, Randy.
Sandy thought it was merely a one-night stand, but the next day, Knowles offered to give her a ride to an interview she had scheduled. Sandy had plans to travel to West Palm Beach, Florida for an assignment. That was like her next assignment. And she had a flight that evening at 6 p.m., but suggested, like, we should hang out in Atlanta before I leave. Like, once my interview's wrapped, we'll continue to hang out until I have to go to the airport. Sandy and I'm going to call him Daryl because that's what she knows him as. Sandy and Daryl got drinks at a bar called Polaris. During this time, he asked if she would write a book about him. Daryl said he didn't have much time to live. Now, she thought he meant like he had a terminal illness. But Daryl explained that he did not have a terminal illness, but that he was going to be killed soon. He wasn't sure when, but he knew he would be dead within the year.
Okay.
After this strange conversation, Daryl admitted that he had given audio confessions to his attorney in Florida of some crimes he had committed. Sandy thought he was joking around. Ha ha ha. You're so funny, Daryl. Right?
Well, I often make jokes about crimes that I committed.
Yeah. Now, at this, Sandy told him, like, maybe you need some psychiatric help. Daryl's response was that he'd actually seen a psychiatrist once. Quote, "He told me I have the perfect criminal mind."
So the psychiatrist just said I'm awesome, right?
Now, Sandy would later write a book called Killing Time about her days spent with Paul John Knowles. She ended up canceling her flight. She was intrigued and wanted to spend some more time with Daryl.
Killing Time. Great name, right?
Sandy and Daryl traveled to Florida by car. Sandy would later say part of her felt frightened by his odd behavior, but that he was also like really easy to talk to and chill and laid back and he, charming.
So it's almost like there's two sides of him.
Right. During the week they spent together, Sandy introduced Knowles to many of her successful friends. Some of them were journalists. Daryl, again, I'm calling him Daryl, felt important, like by proxy. He wanted to continue hanging out with her. Just being around her successful friends kind of made him feel like he was somebody.
Yeah, I can be somebody. I don't have to just keep killing.
I can be somebody.
Raping, killing, and stealing's not the only part, of my life. I can do something else.
So by now, like, they've had a week together. Sandy is getting her fill of this guy and decides she's going to ghost him. Now, he tries to reconnect, pop him by her hotel, things like that. But she's ignoring him. She's staying away from her hotel room, just absolutely avoiding him, telling the front desk, like, I don't want to accept this guy's calls.
I'll tell you what happened here. This guy had an edge, right? An edge to him, almost like a bad boy vibe. And for a hot minute, it was interesting to her. he was different than the other types of people and men and women that she hung around. And, and I'm sure friends probably like, ooh, whatever. But it quickly wore thin, right? And the guy's really not he's not bringing much to the table, right? Not much more.
Right.
So after the weirdness kind of wore off, she's just like, yeah, I don't want to hang around this guy anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So, she ghosts him for a while, a couple days, and then he seems to lose interest. So she's like, yes, I'm in the clear. Got rid of this dude.
Successful ghosting.
After his week with Sandy, Paul was once more on the run. He had actually met a British couple through Sandy. They were a couple of her friends, James and Susan McKenzie, and they liked Paul when they met him. They thought this young man, Daryl, seemed lonely, but he was also polite, charming, likable. He even offered to drive Susan to a hair appointment, one afternoon. Now, once Paul, or Daryl, gets Susan into the car, he propositions her for sex, and she turns him down. That's when Paul pulls out a pistol. Susan was not going to go down without a fight. She starts hitting him, eventually knocking the gun out of his hand. Susan tried escaping the vehicle, but he grabbed her hair. She was able to break loose and wave down a passing motorist. She went straight to police.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Way to go, Susan.
Don't fuck with the British, man.
No, she's like, she's like, yeah, I'm not going to insult our British listeners.
No, man.
With my accent.
She's like,
I was going to do the accent, but there's no need.
She's like, take that, you
fucking Yankee.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Well, I don't know.
They call us Yankees.
Yeah, I was trying to think what's a good British insult.
You
cheeky bastard. I don't know.
Are you having a piss?
Are you having a piss, you bastard?
Gosh.
So a bulletin went out immediately. Daryl Golden was still driving Carswell Car's white Impala. It didn't take long for a West Palm Beach police officer to recognize this car. Knowles was pulled over. However, he drew a sawed-off shotgun, forcing the officer to the ground. Knowles jumped back in the car, speeds away. He knew that Susan had given law enforcement a description of this white Impala, so he needed to ditch it. Later that afternoon, a wheelchair-bound woman named Beverly Maybe heard a knock at the door of her home. A young man was at the door, and he told her he was from the IRS and asked if he could come in.
Wait, her last name's Maybe?
Yeah.
God, I'd have so much fun if that was my last name.
It's M-A-B-B.
Yeah, I know. A maybe?
It's maybe.
Maybe.
What do you think it is?
I thought you were saying maybe.
It's M-A-B-E-E. Maybe.
Okay.
How would you pronounce that? Mabby?
No, but people be like, "Are you dealing maybe?" I'm like, maybe. I mean, come on, dude.
Just shut
I've
up.
had fun all my life with that last name.
Please be quiet. You're fired from the pod. Bring back Ed. I want to co-host with Ed.
Okay, Heather.
I would rather co-host with Ed wearing his mama's skin suit than sit here with you a minute longer.
I'm really listening to your story. It's very good. This guy, I killed 2,
You're terrible at that.
I'm not. Hey, that's a good. That's a good Charlie Hoon and Ed. Sorry.
Once she invited him in, he called himself Bob Williams from the IRS. Now, once he's inside the house, he reveals that he needs a hostage and a getaway car. Beverly decided to keep quiet. She felt that if she screamed or made a fuss, this man would kill her. So she's like, I'm just going to cooperate with him, do exactly what he says. She explained that she didn't own a car, but her sister Barbara Tucker had one, and that Barbara was actually on her way over to Beverly's house and would be there any minute. Knowles waited quietly for the sister to show up. When Barbara arrived, Knowles, by that point, had tied Beverly up. Although this was something that he was not expecting, Barbara had her 6-year-old son
Oh my
with her.
God.
Knowles told the little boy to go play in the other room. That's when he kidnapped Barbara, forcing her to drive him to Fort Pierce, Florida in her Volkswagen. Mrs. Tucker, like her sister, remained calm and cooperative. She tried to keep him talking, feeling like maybe if she kept him talking, it might like disarm him. Right. Once they arrived in Fort Pierce, Knowles checked into a motel room where he ditched Barbara, but he left her tied up, but he ditches her there and then steals her car. Beverly was able to free herself and call police. She gave them the description of this Bob Williams. Police were like, that sounds an awful lot like Daryl Golden.
So wow, I'm actually surprised that them both staying calm and collected worked. They were able to survive. I mean, I'm sure it was still very traumatic, thing to have gone through.
Yeah.
But still, they survived and weren't raped or murdered.
Right. So police are like, okay, this description of this Bob Williams sounds a lot like Daryl Golden, a.k.a. Paul Knowles.
And I don't think he works for the IRS.
And law enforcement believed, this is the same person. Police were able to dust Beverly's home for fingerprints. They gave her some mug shots, and she was able to finger Paul John Knowles as the man who had tied her up and abducted her sister. An all-points bulletin alerted. Law enforcement contacted news stations. They urged them to show a photo of Paul Knowles and that they should describe him as being armed and dangerous to let the public know this guy's out there. If you see him, do not engage, run, don't let him, come in your house.
No.
Don't let him steal your car.
Don't let him borrow your car either. He's not going to bring it back.
Investigators located Sandy Fox, the journalist, and they had a lot of questions for her. Since law enforcement suspected the car murders had been a two-person job, they considered she might have been involved. Sandy was stunned to learn that her companion had been a cold-blooded killer all along. After seeing some photos of the cars, this crime scene, and also just some photos of Carswell car, she kind of noticed that some of the same suits that were worn in the photos were the same clothes that Daryl Golden had with him.
Okay.
And Mrs. Carr had said her husband's closet had been raided. All of his clothes had been stolen.
Well, it sounded like he was sharp dresser. It must have caught this piece of shit's eye, and he just took all this guy's cool stuff.
Also, Daryl, a.k.a. Paul, had gifted Sandy a Mickey Mouse watch that belonged to Amanda Carr. He had stolen this Mickey Mouse watch from the girl's bedroom.
I'm saying he gets off on this, taking these trophies of sort. It's kind of like trophies, and then giving it to other unsuspecting people, knowing that it's from, his victims.
For years, until her death in 2005, Sandy Fox would wonder, why did he spare my life? She thought it was because she had been in foster care, had been abused by the system, and she had shared her background, which had been very troubled, with Paul, and that perhaps he thought they were kindred spirits.
Or maybe.
On November 16th, a Florida highway patrolman named Charles Campbell noticed a beige Volkswagen matching the description that had been sent out, on this APB. Knowles was driving toward Georgia, passing through Perry, Florida, when he saw blue lights flash behind him. And we all hate that feeling, don't we? When you see the blue lights in the mirror, you're like, damn it. I was driving too fast.
It's the worst. Just yesterday? The cop came up beside us and was pulling someone else over. I was like, dude, don't look.
Yeah, you were like, oh my gosh, but then it got the other guy.
Yeah, but I was,
But you were driving like an old man, so I'm like, why would he be pulling you over?
Well, they're going to,
You was doing your old man, driving 45 on the highway move.
Well, that's what I do.
Good. I know.
Well, I stay out of the way. It's the best way to stay safe on these highways around here.
Well, where we live, you got it, because people drive like maniacs.
You get in the slowest lane. You do dead on the speed limit, which is plenty slow enough because everybody else is doing 15 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Our county has the highest number of fatalities in the state.
Yeah, and so all those
Traffic fatalities.
all those crazy people get mad because you're not doing 90 and they just like fly, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, go on, just get away from me.
Honestly, I'm so freaked out by the terrible drivers in our city that that's another reason I don't like to drive.
No,
I make you drive me everywhere.
I'm driving Miss Heather.
You are, because I hate to drive. I'm always afraid, and it's not that I'm a bad driver, but it's these other people. They scare the shit out of me. Now, before Campbell could react, Knowles pulled a gun on him. Campbell was ordered to handcuff himself and get in the back of the patrol car.
Damn, this guy keeps getting the drops on cops.
Yeah. Paul abandoned the stolen Volkswagen and climbed into the cruiser with Campbell in the back seat. A passing driver witnessed this abduction
Right.
and quickly contacted law enforcement. They were dispatched, but it was too late to catch Knowles. Knowles knew he couldn't get very far in this yellow and black highway patrol car.
Right.
Using the blue light, Knowles pulled over a businessman from Delaware named James Meyer. Meyer stopped near a wooded area in southwest Perry. He and Campbell were forced into the back seat of the blue Gran Torino. Knowles secured both men and drove away, stealing Meyer's car. How does he keep getting these cool cars? He's like stolen Impala, now he's got a Gran Torino.
Well, no, how shitty is that? You're like, oh, crap, I'm getting pulled over. And turns out it's some freaking maniac who's already got a kidnapped cop trooper in the back seat.
Yeah, I know.
And now he's taking you and forcing I bet you'd be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Hours later, Knowles stopped for gas in Lakeland, Georgia. The clerk noticed a police officer was sitting in the back seat of a blue Gran Torino, which seemed out of place, but didn't really think any more of it, right? Until watching a news report about a highway patrolman who had been abducted by this madman.
And that's not something you see every day.
Well, in the news report, they have a photo of Knowles and the trooper, and the clerk is like, oh my gosh, that dude was just in here, and I saw that cop in the backseat of this blue Gran Torino. So he contacts police, gives them a full description of the blue Gran Torino, like what time they left, which direction they were traveling, all the info. With law enforcement hot on his tail, Knowles continued traveling further into Georgia. On November 17th, law enforcement spotted this blue car, but he was able to kind of get away from them. They set up roadblocks like all over the place.
Creating a perimeter.
We're going to catch him. At 1:10 p.m., Knowles got caught up in a police blockade near Stockbridge, Georgia. He stepped on the gas driving through the blockade.
Okay.
The car ended up careening into a tree. Knowles escaped the wreck by running into the woods. He was firing a snub-nosed revolver at police. Police were firing back at him. Now, inside the car, police find Campbell's trooper hat and empty gun belt. There was no blood in the car, so law enforcement is hopeful that the hostages are still alive.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of where did he drop them off.
So they're nowhere to be found now. I thought they were
Right.
going to be in the car.
Right, I know. When Knowles emerged from like this wooded area, remember he runs into the woods, he emerges and is spotted by a Vietnam veteran named David Clark. Clark sees this bloodied man like limping out of the woods, and he's not playing around. He grabs a shotgun. He can see that Knowles' hand is bleeding. He had run out of ammunition. His gun. His head was bleeding. He had a gunshot wound to his left leg, which was causing him to limp.
Nice.
Knowles approaches Clark and shows him his hand and is like, it's all wrapped up in a scarf. And he's like, please help me. I'm bleeding.
Oh, I need some help.
Yeah. Clark's like, okay, well, we're going to go over here to my neighbor's house. They can tend to you. And so while he's at the neighbor's house, he calls police. Officers showed up immediately to take Knowles into custody. With several injuries, he was taken to the hospital, given some medical attention, and then booked into the Henry County Jail. Now, when he's being booked in the jail, they're marching him in. He's doing his like perp walk or whatever. There's media everywhere, snapping pictures, reporters yelling his name, TV crews. and he's lapping it up.
Oh my God.
He loves this.
This is exactly what he
He
wanted.
feels like he's on a damn red carpet, strolling into the jail. Knowles refused to say if the hostages were dead or alive, so the fate of the two missing men remained a mystery despite search efforts. On November 21st, deer hunters in Pulaski County located the bodies of Meyer and Campbell inside a pine thicket. The men were handcuffed to a tree, shot in the head execution style.
Damn.
They had been there for several days. Soon, Sheldon Yavitz arrived at the jail. The attorney,
Yeah, he's like, where's my client?
the slick attorney.
Who is that? How do you even represent people like this, man?
Money, baby.
I said, yeah, but Knowles doesn't even have any.
Knowles told him he didn't want to die by electric chair. He said, quote, "I don't want them to fry me. That's a bad way to die." Like, bro, you've killed all these people. You don't get to choose.
Rape,
Piece of shit.
murder, kidnapping, terrorizing, torturing, stealing. All these things, you've done all the things.
But electric chair would hurt my little body.
Oh, but my head's bleeding.
I know, what a pussy.
What a piece of shit.
Now, law enforcement was able to link Knowles to 18 murders, though he claimed it was closer to 35. When his photo made national headlines, the press dubbed him the Casanova Killer due to his good looks.
Okay.
Yavitz and his wife were jailed on contempt charges because they refused to hand over the audio recordings. Yavitz held them in a safe, but refused to give U.S. Marshals the combination so they could get the tapes out. Eventually, his wife was freed. Yavitz gave her permission to hand over the tapes, but he had to remain in jail on a $15,000 bond.
Okay.
The judge wouldn't lower it, and I guess they didn't have enough money to get him out. His wife. On December 4th, Knowles was transferred to the Douglas County Jail. Since he had a history of escaping, I guess they thought this was a more secure jail.
Yeah, we're going to lock the door this time.
The transfer was kept quiet, so no one knew he had been transferred to this other jail. 2 weeks later, Knowles was put in a car for transport back to Henry County. He had promised to show investigators where he had dumped Campbell's service revolver. Knowles' wrists and ankles were chained up for the ride. Now, at some point, an officer saw this. It's actually an agent with the GBI. His name is Ron Angel. He notices, like, what's going on? Knowles has lit up a cigarette in the back seat.
Okay.
The other officer slows down the car and demands that Knowles hand the cigarette over. But instead, Knowles had managed to free the other wrist, and he leaned over the seat trying to grab at the officer's gun. It went off in the holster. The other agent, Ron Angel, drew his weapon and shot Knowles 3 times. The other officer was trying to keep the car on the road, but it skidded off the highway. They slid down a small embankment and then hit a barbed wire fence. Knowles had managed to get a paperclip somewhere, and he had wedged it into the right lock, like the right handcuff into the lock,
Yeah.
and popped the cuff open.
Yeah, your basic handcuffs, they're not hard. You get anything that you can get in that little keyhole, and you can pop them.
A coroner ruled Paul Knowles was dead at the scene. His body was transported to a funeral home, then flown to Jacksonville, Florida. Sheldon Yavitz didn't believe that Paul Knowles attempted to escape. He insisted that Knowles had been set up for execution.
Yeah.
And that the cops staged this whole thing.
Cool.
Knowles had told former cellmates that he believed they, meaning the police, were going to kill him before he went to trial.
I mean, what do you believe? Well, look, here's the thing. This guy has escaped many times. He's certainly, he's killed all these different people. He's even killed a trooper, right? So he doesn't respect anything. So, I mean, I think it's quite possible that he tried to escape and then they shot him. But there also is the possibility of vigilante justice, which isn't right, if you will, as far as our system goes. But I think this guy was a shitbird, you know? I mean, a rapist murderer who just killed all these people. So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it.
An inquest jury found no wrongdoing on behalf of the law enforcement officers. Knoll was buried in Jacksonville, Florida. Only his family and Angela Kovic attended his funeral. The minister who conducted the funeral refused to pray that Knoll's soul rest in peace. He's like, I'll do the funeral, but I'm not going to pray for his soul.
Damn.
Yeah.
Even the pastor wasn't having it, son.
In the wake of his death, victims' families were left with little relief. The Andersons sued Knoll's estate for $2,500. Jack Anderson refused to entertain the possibility that his daughters Mylette and Lillian were dead. Since their bodies had never been recovered, he just would not accept it and really believed that they were still alive out there somewhere.
Oh.
That Knowles had done something, had given them to someone.
Well,
I mean, it's really sad.
That was the two young girls
the two little girls.
who the authorities didn't think that
Right.
Knowles. Okay.
But the girl's family believed he was responsible.
Right.
Some argue that Knowles was a thrill killer and not really a serial killer since he didn't have a victim profile. He killed indiscriminately at times, leaving others alive. Again, he would sexually assault some victims but leave others untouched. So he's definitely an interesting study as far as a mass murderer goes. Is he a serial killer? I mean, I think it's an interesting debate.
Well, no, it is. And it's I guess with spree killers, I mean, obviously they're demented or messed up. But I guess you could argue that they kill out of almost a necessity or a desperation. Maybe not for the love of killing, which I think this man certainly crossed that line, in my opinion. It seemed like he got off. He grew to like killing.
Yeah,
if you will.
I think so.
And I think honestly, you could argue he's just a mixture of the two. And this was a really long spree too. I mean, a lot of times they don't last this long.
No, this was months.
And cover this much ground, right? So, gosh, I just I still don't know. I'm still surprised I've never heard of this guy.
Right?
I must say.
My resources for today, I read 3 different books. The Casanova Killer by Jack Smith, Mark Stokes's The Casanova Killer, really original titles, and then Sandy Falk's book, Killing Time.
Okay, so did you what did you think about her book? Were there some interesting insights as far as her relationship?
Honestly, I found it a little confusing because she kept calling him Daryl.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, it was just yeah, we went to breakfast and then he saw some construction workers and said this odd thing. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really think it was that great.
Right. You just think it's one of those situations where she came in contact with this person who did all these things and she just happened to be a journalist
And wrote a book about it.
I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's all right.
Wow. God, what a ride.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. And thanks again. Another shout out to Luke, our newest patron. Thank you for supporting today's episode.
A very troubling case.
It is.
Just the raw, indiscriminate killing. He just doesn't care. He's gonna do what he has to do.
Yeah. No, he doesn't care. He was
doesn't care to possibly kill children, teenagers, elderly women, I mean, it's just...
It didn't matter to him.
It's such a fucked up story, honestly.
No, it really is.
You said, you've never heard of it. I'd never heard of this case, and I just can't believe that this guy hasn't had more attention, that there's not documentaries about him.
Yeah, I know.
TV, the true crime episodes on these different TV shows about him.
Well, see, this is a case where you could have 6 or 7 episodes Netflix, I mean, it seems like they'll take stuff to talk about that really could be wrapped up in an episode or 2 and make it an 8-part series. I think most notably The Staircase.
No.
It's like, bro, this could have been 45 minutes. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
It was an owl. That's what happened to her. All right, so thank you for that, Heather.
You're welcome.
Thank you to our listeners, and we hope you enjoyed that. And can't wait to get to part 2 of the West Memphis 3 on Patreon. So if you're not a member, join us over there, and you can catch part 1, get caught up, and be ready for episode 2. And gosh, what else? A spooky season is here.
Yeah, this week we will be dropping our midweek devoted to horror films based on true stories or inspired by true stories. We're going to cover the film The Haunting in Connecticut.
Yes.
And the story, I guess, that inspired the film.
Yes, and I must apologize. I was a bit flat on our Jennifer's Bodies episode. I was trying to be a trooper and get it done, but I was flat and I kind of sucked.
We both kind of sucked.
Sorry
I listened and realized I said, about 500,000 times, so it's fine.
Hey,
it happens.
Look, it happens. We do think about it and be like, I kind of sucked. Heather sucks less than me, usually. But anyway.
Can I tell you what really sucks, Dylan?
What?
This has been on my mind simply because I am just blown away. If we had fame and success from this podcast and we're making, hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even upwards of like $1 million, I think we would still be the same goofy. We would just be who we are, because that's just like we're just us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that.
But
we should test it out.
I am, troubled by this. There is a podcast that is like a top-rated podcast, true crime podcast, I should say. Top-rated, has just really skyrocketed, lots of fame, big money deals, right? I was a fan of this podcast and was a listener, but they have since becoming, I guess, wealthy, known, famous. It's like they have the ego is out of control. I just cannot believe these podcasters. I mean, they essentially insult their listeners like all the time. They get on these big political rants, which, we really do try to avoid politics, because I'm not out to like offend anybody.
It's true crime.
Everybody has their opinion. I look at our true crime podcast as a bit of an escape from politics. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want you to think about it when we're, discussing true crime. And I get sometimes it does get a little political, just the nature of the justice system or laws, what have you. But just to like openly bash other people's political associations or beliefs
or religious,
and to be so judgy, like, well, you're a fucking horrible person if you vote this way, like, you're gross, whatever. And also the pod, not only do they do this, so they're probably bashing like half their listeners who voted a certain way, but they also like openly bash Christians and like make fun of Christians constantly, and that's a good majority of their listeners as well. And I just can't, I can't wrap my head around being so comfortable or having this ego, I'm not sure what it is, that you think you can just insult your listeners and lose listeners over it, and that you're going to somehow keep being number one if you are shitting on people and their beliefs and insulting them.
Well, see, here the strangest thing about that is, to me,
and I don't often like to shit talk other podcasters, but when I see these types of things happening
at this level,
I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, see, that's what I don't understand is, and what can happen, and seems by some people's opinion be happening in this particular situation, is it's not only that, it's like, then your podcast kind of sucks now, right? It doesn't have that heart and soul that whatever people liked about it from the beginning. And I really think that's a mistake that some people do. Now, some people blow up and they keep it 100, right? They keep doing what they did that got them popular, and that's cool. But, it's almost like they just start milking their listeners with tons of advertising, oh, go get our merch and all, whatever, all this stuff. and then then are delivering like a lower grade product
Right.
than they did.
Because they spend more time discussing politics
Right.
and bashing people's beliefs and their religious beliefs.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you're here to talk about true crime. And just hearing all this and then kind of like looking into it and seeing that I'm not just the one thinking this. There's like tons of other people who are like, I used to listen to this podcast until
Right.
you started openly like insulting me and my religious beliefs. I don't know, man. Like, it's just mind blowing to me, I guess.
Well, I view podcasting like any other entertainment, whatever genre I'm in, comedy, history, true crime, politics. Certainly I might have, listen to that as well. That's what I'm here to listen about, right?
Yeah.
That's like when I go see a fantasy sci-fi movie, I want to see a fantasy sci-fi movie. I don't want it to have messages about my current society. You know what I mean? That was the whole escape of entertainment.
Right. I don't need the actor starring in the film to give some big red carpet speech
No.
on some serious topic. Like, I don't need to hear your opinion on
Well,
that.
that's-
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, and that's why entertainment is faltering, I believe.
I believe so as well.
Because when we were younger, you didn't know all these things about their personal life or their political beliefs or religious beliefs. You might to a degree here and there, but what it was is people were there to entertain everyone, right? And that's okay.
Yeah, people have gotten real comfortable in the age of social media with openly just like insulting people, degrading them.
Well, just because someone doesn't believe what I do,
And I just am surprised, I guess I should say.
it doesn't
with
make
the situation.
it doesn't make them terrible and me superior, right? That mindset is very narrow-minded. I think it's egotistical to a degree to assume that your opinion is just superior in all ways. People don't have we've talked about it before. People don't have conversations. They don't have real conversations. People don't grow. They don't have any variety to their opinions, right? It's very echo chambery on all sides, in all ways you can think about it. And that's just not how humans are.
Well, I'm just reminded of that phrase, pride comes before the fall.
Right.
And sometimes I think these folks who get a little bit of fame and it just goes to their head, forget that they can easily be humbled.
Well, see, listen, and that's why Heather's like, oh, you always talk about, we do love our listeners. We do. And we are
do.
a little podcast that could. And very appreciative to still be podcasting and people still willing to tune in to us all these years later.
Absolutely.
I mean, so much to us. Made a few bucks along the way, but certainly, we're not rich from it. But the listeners are
the reason we keep doing this.
they're the reason that these people blow up and stuff, and just your willingness, your hubris your willingness to insult large segments of them, no matter where they fall on whatever spectrum, is very strange to me.
It's very strange to me as well. And I didn't mean to end the episode on like a rant or anything, but
Yeah.
I guess I was just kind of blown away. Like, this is something that I've recently kind of concluded in the last week or so, and then started like looking into, am I the only one who's feeling this way? And then finding that no, there's actually a lot of people who are feeling the same way. And again, I just think, wow, you had this success, but you could easily lose it overnight in today's society.
Well, they've already made a lick, let's be honest, I'm sure. But it's just no matter about the money and stuff, just your willingness to do that in the end or on the other side of being popular.
It's diabolical, Dylan.
It's diabolical. And me and Heather have even threatened to maybe do some episodes kind of in character.
No, we're not going to
No?
do that.
Can I
Then everyone will know who we're making fun of.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
no, I think people in the know probably already know
We never make fun of people. What?
who you're talking about.
We never make fun of
I'm going to talk like the kids, right? I'm just a 47-year-old kid, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing I find very entertaining.
That slaps. This food is bussin'. I'm going to say stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool
Who
story.
are you, Theo Vaughn?
Put the fries in the bag.
You were telling me earlier, people were like annoyed that Theo Vaughn's like 45 and that he still dresses a certain way and acts a certain way.
the
right?
young people
The young people
claim that he's cosplaying a 20-year-old. But you made a very valid point.
Yeah.
He's right there in our generation being 45. That's your age. I'm 47.
Thanks for telling everybody.
Well, they knew. They already knew. And our whole generation is like that.
We're just a bunch of big kids.
Right? We're a bunch of big kids.
We're all tatted up, purple hair, wearing Vans,
We don't do the kind of boring.
ripped up jeans. Like we
we
just never grew up.
We don't do the boring parent, clothes like back in the day where you knew somebody was parents, mom and dad. They look like parents.
They look like the Golden Girls,
They got
but
the
they
old-
were 30.
They got the old
In the
people
80s.
hairstyles and all that when they're 25. But yeah, Gen X. That's proudly declaring that we are Gen X.
Elder millennials.
Yeah, well, I'm true Gen X.
Okay. I'm on the cusp.
You're a freaking millennial,
I'm
bro.
on the cusp, bro.
Nothing against millennials. You guys are still holding it down. Yeah.
But we don't want to grow up. We were Toys R Us kids.
We don't want to grow up. And
So, whatever, these young folks can hate on us. They can be haters, but we're used to being hated on.
Yeah.
We've been hated on forever. That's why we big kids.
our parents hated us.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? Let's go. All right. So until next time, can't wait for the midweek, another spooky episode, and can't wait for all the stuff.
Hold on to that childlike sense of wonder.
Yeah. And we will never turn our backs on any of our listeners, no matter what you believe.
Nah, man, all are welcome.
Yeah.
I'm an equal opportunity hater. Okay? I'm gonna hate you all equally.
Stupid.
I'm not gonna pick a certain group to hate. I'm gonna hate you all equally.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to hate every one of you.
And I'm gonna hiss at you.
The same amount.
But that is how you know that you're in my heart.
Yeah. That's her love language.
It is.
Hissing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dylan, thank you so much for sitting down to discuss true crime with me today.
Thanks for having me.
My-
Wait, and
Heather,
What else?
Heather, I would just like to say,
They're ready for us to wrap up, Dylan.
I'd like to say bye and thanks for having me. Ed Gein,
Look, Ed, you gotta
really appreciate you.
go take your mama's underwear off. Okay?
I'm wearing my mama's thong right now.
I see.
all right.
And you should be concerned about
Bye,
that
Ed.
rash.
Thanks for coming, Ed.
Bye.
Bye.